think of looking at something maybe beginning with genetics, and I think because many of us do, I think, or have this kind of notion of there are people who are just more, they're greater, or they're endowed in a certain area. And certainly there seems to be some good science now, or at least some good thought around how genetics plays into excellence. So I was just curious if you could share a little bit more about that, because that is something I think is familiar to a lot of us, and we think that way often.
One of the early questions in the research on excellence was, is it nature or nurture?
Versus nurture, right.
Is it something you're born with? Is it something that you acquire?
Right,
There clearly is a genetic component. There's a great deal of variability in human performance. So we've already talked a little bit about the athlete who has a particular body type.
Right.
And without that body type, it's a non-starter.
Sure.
An individual who is an artist has to have a particular ability to be sensitive to the kind of art that they're doing, whether it's music and having a good ear, or if it's visual art, to be able to see and appreciate design and color and all of that. People who are great academicians have to have a certain level of intelligence that they start with.
Right.
It's important, though, to recognize that genetics is a quality that's necessary for excellence, but it's not in and of itself sufficient. And one of the ways that we see this is when we look at children who are these super geniuses that graduate when they're 12 from college.
Yes,
Very few of them go on to contribute in a significant way.
Wow, that's interesting. That's
it's not that none of them do, but very few of them do.
Right.
And a part of that is because their innate ability isn't enough to make it to excellence.
Right.
And in fact, what happens is that the additional quality of being willing to put in the time and the effort and the perseverance, when everything comes so easily to you that you can graduate from college by the age of 12, it's hard to develop that ability to work hard at something.
It's interesting. And I'm curious too, as I'm hearing you and thinking about genetics in excellence, is that it also doesn't seem as if there's a generic excellent.
Right.
It's like, you might be endowed towards one area of excellence or the other.
Right.
But it isn't like you have the DNA of an excellent human being or something of this nature.
That's extremely true, and it's a part of this quality of being a genius. You've got to be quirky in an area. So you aren't a genius in everything.
Right. You're outside of the normal curve by definition. Then, if you're excellent, you're
probably even Leonardo da Vinci wasn't excellent in everything.
Right.
He was excellent in a particular arena.
Right.
What's even more interesting with that is that then, when we begin to look at it, the different ages in which we can identify this are actually quite distinct. So you can identify the excellence of a gymnast at a time about 8-9 years of age.
Right.
The ability to identify who's going to be the genius that comes up with a new theory in an academic realm, we can't identify them at an early age. It isn't until they're actually, on average, they're in their 30s or 40s before they come up with their great idea.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so that development of the genetics even emerges at different times, so that we don't know necessarily that this person has the capacity for excellence versus this person until they're in the arena where that excellence can develop within their realm of expertise.